China, a warning it is not afraid of a trade war with the U.S. after President Trump announced plans to impose 100% tariffs on Chinese imports and new export controls on critical software. However, the president also then softened his tone over the weekend, saying everything with China will be fine. Joining us right now is Asia Society Policy Institute Vice President Wendy Cutler. She's a former acting deputy U.S. trade representative. And let's start with both the comments we heard from the president on Friday and then the comments over the weekend. Obviously, the market seems to be taking those comments more than in stride. They're taking them very well. How do you take them?
Well, look, we're definitely in a period of tension with China. We've seen this pattern of escalation before. It seems that both sides are trying to de-escalate. But the question now is, will Trump and Xi meet on the margins of the APEC meeting? And if they do, what can they achieve at this point?
In terms, though, of where this all heads, this idea that the president says first he's going to put these big tariffs on, then says it's all going to be fine. If you're an official in China, President Xi or otherwise, you think what?
I'm feeling like I have a pretty strong hand if I'm in Beijing now. I think these tariff threats have become less and less impactful, and I don't think Beijing is taking them as seriously. And today's trade data coming out of China just underscores that Beijing is becoming less dependent on the U.S. market and exporting a lot more to the rest of the world. So again, I think China feels it has a strong hand, that the U.S. needs this meeting and needs stabilization more than China. And as a result, I think it overplayed its hand this past weekend.
So just to you, you're arguing you think that the U.S. has lost leverage here. I mean, Joe, you were just making a comment, I think, before. You think America has the leverage here.
I do. Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying America doesn't have leverage, but I think Beijing thinks, right or wrong, that it has the strong hand right now.
OK, but explain why, then, you think Beijing does. And to the extent that you look at our economy right now, which seems to be doing quite well, and arguably their economy seems to be struggling on a relative basis, why, therefore, you'd make that argument?
Well, number one, the export data today shows that China is exporting to other markets and is becoming less dependent on the U.S. market. Second, I don't think they think that Trump is going to go through with these threats, particularly the tariff threat of 100% on November 1. He's done this before. He's backed off, not because of China, but because of domestic pressure. And let's be honest, food prices and other prices now are going up, putting the president in a more vulnerable position when it comes to raising tariffs.
In terms, though, of how this then plays out, to the extent that there are things that we still want from China, do we have a chance to get them?
Oh, absolutely. And I think both sides are posturing. Both sides are trying to find new areas of leverage. China, again, pushing critical minerals and magnets and soybeans. The U.S. not only threatening higher tariffs, but now threatening export controls on software to China. So I do think that some kind of stabilization deal is probably in the cards, and the odds are high that Xi and Trump will meet. But I think before that, we're going to need to see some communication between Secretary Bessent and his Chinese counterpart, the vice premier, to tee up this meeting.
Before we let you go, where do you think tariffs ultimately land between the U.S. and China on an average basis across the board? I mean, I think that's been the fundamental question that's been outstanding this entire time.
If I had to guess, I think it's around the 55% where we are now. Greer, the USTR, said about a week ago that rate seems about fine. And I have a hard time seeing how we have lower rates on China than other countries around the world. And remember, with some other countries, we're up to 20, 30, 40%. Yep.
This is one person's opinion, I guess. But export growth, even though China's trying to go to other places, export growth slowed in China in August, and some of these other countries they're exporting to now are already complaining that they're flooding the market. And then this individual, he's a professor, he says the strength of China's overall exports, despite U.S. tariff barriers, emboldened Xi to take the risk of escalating, but it could backfire given China's persistently weak domestic consumption demand, and investment, as well as other countries being swamped by China's exports. I don't know. I'd give the advantage to the U.S. at this point, but who knows what happens. I mean, the throwdown, the gauntlet was that rare metals, the 0.1%. And I don't know, I'm not sure exactly how that comes off, but I don't think they can go through with that. We can't do anything without those rare metals, and we're not ready to, the baton has not been passed to domestic suppliers of rare metals yet.
Well, exactly. China, again, put in sweeping restrictions that are going to go into effect shortly. But again, I think that's more about using it as negotiating leverage. And they can delay imposition. They can come up with exceptions to how they would apply this. So there's room for negotiation here. It's just a lot of drama over the next 2 weeks, I believe.
Why'd they do it when tariffs, things were quiet on the tariff front? And they decided to do the rare metals.
Right, and I'm not justifying China's behavior here,
no,
but
I wonder
in their
why,
view, they were responding to what they believe was a U.S. Going back on its agreement with China, and that is when the U.S. at the end of September expanded export controls on a number of Chinese entities and subsidiaries of Chinese companies.